Hi, everybody. This is Dr. Tufail, and I welcome you all in this class of major literary movements. In today's class, we are going to discuss naturalism as a literary movement. In our previous classes, we talked about classicism, romanticism, realism, and now it is time to talk about naturalism because as classicism inspired romantic writers and they contradicted with the new classicist and as a result there came realism. They took the reality of the society to portray and depict in their art, but then in response to, in reaction to realism came the another movement that is called naturalist. And naturalism as a movement affected or influenced different domains of knowledge and learning, may it be education, may it be painting, may it be psychology, and may it be philosophy. So is the case with literature as well. So today in this class, we will talk about what nationalism is, what are its uh, basic concepts, are the tenets, and how these tenets are incorporated in different fields and how do they contribute towards. So basically, this naturalism refers specifically to a literary movements that took place in America, England, and France during the late 1880 and up to 1940. It attempts to apply scientific principles of objectivity and detachment of its study of a human being. Now here, how can we say that we are going to detach knowledge and the information that is produced by a human being, but it must be based on the scientific principles of objectivity. So the man who could be affected by the conditions, by the circumstances, and then his or her truth may be subjective. So this is an advanced form of realism, means that the reality what they wanted to portray, but here they believe that reality is not the reality of an individual, but it should be free of an individual and it should be understood, it should be known in its natural setting. So now we have to understand previously, as in my last class, I mentioned that realistic writers or realism was criticized that what you call real, that may be your subjective reality, but it may not be objective reality. But here they say that we have to see what is a real, not from an individual point of view, but we have to see all the reality in its natural setting, that how it is. So it could be viewed as a more extreme form of realism. Naturalism wants to relate feelings to scientific method. Here, feelings which is completely subjective phenomenon, they try to connect this subjective phenomenon with the objective uh, situations where you can even interpret and understand feelings with a scientific method. So it is naturalism compares to pessimism in a sense that whatever is in the society, but that is the outcome of certain natural circumstances, an individual has least role to play or least freedom to uh, overcome or overwhelm this natural phenomena and to emerge as an individual. So even human being is an object in this natural setting, and the laws of nature are going to govern the entire things. So even human existence cannot be exempted from these natural laws. So whatever the human do, that is reality, but its reality is because of these natural laws. So in order to understand them, we will not go to an individual to understand the reality, but we have to see the things in their natural setting. How environment and heredity make up who the person is. Now, see here, their main focus is that whatever a man is, that is because of the heredity, whatever that inheritance or genetics he has inherited from his her parents, then the environment, how environment has brought him up, then that the person is actually outcome of this. So even a person turns to become a thief, that may be certain environmental or genetical situations, they compel him, lead him towards that thing. So man is a murderer because of these circumstances like that. So the naturalists believe that these are the natural circumstances which actually compel or shape an individual. So individual itself is not independent to overcome these natural setting or laws of nature, but he is governed by these laws of nature. So laws of nature are going to ultimately affect this person. What is the background? Okay, actually, literary realism was the point of view of known as a naturalism. Naturalism sought to go further and be more explanatory than realism by identifying the underlying causes of a person's action or belief. See, what was the reality? Realism was trying to portray the things which are present in the society. So they said that this is a corruption, this is a sickness, this is a poverty, this is alienation, this is ego, etc. These poor class are living in such abject poverty, middle class are living with this such cunningness, and the lower or upper class are living with exploitation. So they say that okay, it is realism only try to see the external sphere of the things or external aspect of the things, but realism could not delve deep into the inner vistas of this reality. So naturalists, they saw that they would go in order to find that what are the underlying causes, what are the actual causes which are going uh, to affect the certain phenomena, or they are going to help in the continual of such phenomena. So we have to understand what are those underlying causes. Philosophy of naturalism is the idea or a belief that only natural, as opposed to supernatural or spiritual laws and forces operate in the world. So world is governed by laws. There are laws. Laws are maybe this different law of motion. We have a gravitation laws. We have laws of strong force, weaker force, and electromagnetic force, and other type of laws which are going to govern the earth. So this entire universe is governed by laws, and laws are important, and even human being is not exempted to that laws. Human existence is subject to those laws. Therefore we can't say that the reality is individual, but we have to see the reality in a natural setting, how nature is going to present the things, and so we have to understand in that. And scientific theories like Charles Darwin's theories, and other scientific things, psychology is there, so they try to see the things in their natural setting. Even Sigmund Freud is there, who's going to talk about this human and subconscious, etc. And then this Darwin, he gave the concept of evolution. And so we have other type of naturalists who believe that man is a kind of a being, and it's not a social being, but this is a part of the society, but the part of this entire world, our cosmos, our universe, and these laws of universe are going to govern them. So we have to understand that why a man becomes egoist, what are these? There are natural laws, they shape him. Why the man becomes suppressed? There are laws, they shape him to be suppressed. Why a man becomes sad? Again, there are laws, they make him sad. So the natural laws, and we have to understand, we have to plumb the depth of those laws and how they are going to shape the personality of an individual. So naturalism is a type of a literature that attempts to apply a scientific principles of objectivity and detachment to its study of human being. Studies, they believe naturalism studies human as a beast in relation to environment. Killer, it's not a social animal as well we consider, but this is like a beast, like other a part of this environment. So man is, you are a product of environment. Whatever the environment you feel, yeah, you get, you receive there. So the characters are but higher order animals, fully subjects to the forces of heredity and environment. Here the human characters, whatever the characters they present in their novel, they are not presented as an individual, but they are the part of these forces. How they are born, it means a child who's born, his father is a thief, and their entire family is a criminal, and he's born in a criminal family. So according to them, he has inheritance, this criminal attitudes. Then again, the family is born and brought up. That family was engaged in a sort of a crime. So the child who was born to a criminal family, who's brought up to a with a criminal family, ultimately turns to become a criminal. So this criminal product or criminal trait in that individual is not the outcome of this individual's freedom or choice, but these are the natural laws or that the circumstance environment in which he was born and brought up. So these things ultimately shaped him to become a criminal. So they here are very famous. This Emile Zola and this film, Frank Nore, Jack London, writers, Stephen Crane. These are the writers who wrote the novel in which their characters who were subject to certain natural laws and they ended up because of that thing. So we have this writer Zola is there, Franklin is there, now, man, what are the main themes in naturalism? You will find the survival, the indifference of a struggle. Here, you have to see that you have to survive because everything is in your surrounding. That is indifference to you. This nature is not only benign; it is full of, it is malign too. It is a full of threats to human existence. There are storms, there are earthquakes, there are diseases, and many other challenges, so the human have to survive. And when you survive, then how the struggle of survival causes, again, these are the natural setting which compels you to survive, and you have to survive according to the laws of nature. Determination is an inability to express and act freely. Here, I think they believe that everything is a determined. Man is determined. Determination is a sense when the things are. People don't have much control over their fate in naturalism, naturalist fiction. Here the issue is that the men are carried away by their flaws, by their mistakes, and by their emotions, and then they just meet. Suppose in a story you find a character who is very emotional, and he meets to a tragedy. So the tragedy basically is the outcome of his this emotional flaw, and this emotional flaw is natural to him, so he can't control. To them, they can't control. But later on, when you enter into the another philosophy of existentialism, they would say that no, man is free, man has the freedom, man can make choices, whatever good or bad, that is the choice of a man. Man can get rid of these emotional areas or he can control himself. So again, these are the two different aspects of looking at things. But to naturalist, man is just a simple puppet into the hand of laws of nature. He is not individual. He is not independent. He can't work, think, act freely with the freedom. He has to subject himself to the uh, inflected laws, and he can't exercise his free will beyond the domain of those natural laws. He has to live within that. So these things again limit human independence and human will or freedom. Nature is an indifferent or apathetic force acting in a human life. I already mentioned. To them, nature is not only a loving phenomena, it is a full of challenges. It has so many challenges for human existence, may it be diseases and storms and other type of natural disasters and diseases. So there's a violence there, and these all things they actually determine human existence. But and again, in these situations, in this environment, and then again the heredity, what man is born with, these things actually shape of human being. And these are the main questions what they are going to discuss in their novel, how heredity is going to affect a character, how environment is going to affect the characters, and how an individual living in this indifferent world is going to survive in their struggle and survival, or their struggle to for survival. These are the main themes what they try to portray, and almost their characters are they are selected from lower class outcast society because where they are in their natural setting and they are living the life as the nature has compelled them to live. So the poor class and outclass people living in abject poverty and really pitiable conditions are the real outcome of the natural phenomena when the nature has compelled them to live and survive and to face the apathy or indifference of nature. So naturalism told that they said man is good, but he is not biologically good. For them, man is not a biologically good, etc. But these are the circumstances they make him a good. If somebody is going to be a good because of the natural environment, what he gets or lives and enjoys, and because of these all comforts and luxury zones, he turns to become a good individual. But for naturalist, it doesn't mean that he's a good by his essence. He's good because of the natural laws and environment. But if the same person has been put into in other different circumstances, where the conditions would have been quite different and difficult, he would have been tested and tried. He would have been put in troubles and tribulations. He would have been challenged, changed, and he would have been put into crisis. Then the same person would have become something quite full of chaos and full of hatred or full of sorrow or full of despair and full of dejection. So they believe that it's all about the outcome of these circumstances we get. So they written their violence, poverty, corruptions. These were the things, and but they not were showing these all themes as the realistic realism try to portray. They try to portray the corruption, but here the corruption is seen that how the natural laws are going to compel people to involve in this corruption, and how these environment and natural settings are going to show up its impact on the poverty and other things. Okay, so here they contradicted, and then the writers depicted the reality. Real people in the real situations, realism believe that the forces larger than the individual nature's fate, heredity shaped individual destiny. So it's not only your individual destiny, is the outcome of your fate and heredity and the natures. These all things overall they shape a character, and character would be analyzed with the help of these all aspects which are going to contribute for the make up this character. But you can't say that this only free will or free choice of an individual is going to determine his or her life. So naturalist characters can be studied through their relationship to their surrounding and natures, how they live in surrounding, their environment, the natures and natural laws, and then we have to see that what are their strengths in their life, what type of life they choose to live, and they use these type of sometimes denotations and connotations used to to show the relationship of a human being with this nature, or the relationship of nature with the man human being, and how the heredity is going to contribute towards the ultimate development of an individual, and how the environment is going to contribute the ultimate development of an individual. So these things are connotatively and denotatively attributed towards an individual on the basis of these natural laws of environment and heredity, etc. They shape an individual. So focusing on the present, choosing the topics from the contemporary life rather than longing for some idealized past. Okay, they didn't believe in that type of a past or idealized past truth. They believed in reality, emphasizing the social rather than the individual, seeing the individual as a social being. So they emphasize that it's social because they believe that whatever the reality is in the society, that is the outcome of the natural laws, and it must be seen as in social setting, in a natural setting. So here, individual character is not the focus, but overall the society and an individual in the society in its natural context after bearing or receiving the influence of environment heredity, how they are going to behave. So they try to see the things like that, refraining from the use of elevated language. They don't use this type of languages. They are more colloquial idioms, everyday speeches. They take live from there, which is very direct, which is very simple. Their language is not a bombastic. This language is not complicated, but they try to put the simple languages. So these are the things. And novel is the main source where they try to show this sort of things which happen in the natural setting. And there's a narrative detachment. Nature writers thought of themselves as a social scientist. They wanted to observe and understand how society functions. For this reason, their work often take some detached and narrative tones. Means they narrate the story, but they don't involve themselves. They remain as a commentator, objective, and they believe that nature determines the natures of a man. Man, whatever man is this. In this school of literature, characters are often controlled by forces beyond their power. So it's a nature. The laws of natures, they control you. If somebody is sick, means the environment he is born and brought up, and family and all these things which are the product of genetics and this environment, they are going to shape it. So determinism is focused here. And the social environment, nature scientists were interested in understanding how social environment impacts people, characters, and their development. Discuss poverty is a big theme, and they believe that of how this poverty is this poverty is the product of this physical environment, and this physical environment is going to affect the human being. And then we have to see that realism, a literary movement that predated naturalism, which placed an emphasis on portraying society and personality as they really are. Naturalism is an offshoot of the realism. So I have mentioned this realism, this naturalism basically is an offshoot, or this is byproduct, or this is a kind of a step forwards to realism. Realism's sought to see the things as they are really in the society, but their naturalism is trying to see that what things are in the society, but what are the natural laws, laws of heredity, laws of environment, which are going to cause that social reality. So they try to plumb the depth of those laws, natural laws of heredity and environment, which are going to shape the social values, our social norms, our society, which we are going to portray in this literature. So these are, it says on physical environment, these are their principles of naturalism. And they believe that a universe is a machine, and man is also the part of this machine. Man is alone in an uncaring universe. This is not means the world is not as we believe that world is made for man. No, they think that no, this universe is not for man only. This universe has its own laws, and in those laws, they are apathetic sometimes, and they are not every time sympathetic to human beings. So at any time, these laws can create problem for you. So how man is going to survive in this universe that is quite adverse to man? As you remember that there was that nature is the full of nature is red with its tooth and claws, means nature is a full of human blood like that. So man is a higher creatures or animals according to his nature. So the essence of his life is animal instinct, not spiritually. So this is again, they believe that man is not an spiritual being, but it is just a kind of individual, and his essence is also a physical thing, not a spirituality. The present is the real life. Man should try to make this life happy and comfortable. Changing laws of nature explains all the events and occurrences in this thing. So how this thing deviated, differentiated from other movements. If you compare naturalism with other movements, now look at that. There were other movements like contrasted to romanticism, art, occidentalism, and realism. Surrealism. Naturalism, I will talk about surrealism and transcendentalism in my forthcoming classes. But naturalism says that doesn't have any symbolic meaning. No, naturalism is a darker and less fantasy like. It is very rude and very black and very um, much. Uh, Very much natural. What means it's going to see the things as they are, even the black and dark, whatever. But it says the nature is it is. Man is bloody, man is bloody. Man is crude, man is a crude. Man is subject to sexual desires, is subject to sexual desires. So they don't try to. They say they try to see the man in its natural setting. Naturalism sees the darker sides of human nature. That why man is that much cruel, why he's that much crazy, why he's that much wicked. So they say that these are the environment, heredity, nature, environment where he's born and brought up, and circumstances which shape his personality, and ultimately he ends up with that type of a trace in the personality. As compared to realism, naturalism is the advanced form of realism. Both look at actual words of meaning, both would look at scientific human nature, but the case is that realism says that what is the reality, it should be presented, but naturalism goes one step forward to find out the natural laws which are going to govern and shape that reality. So this is the very unique difference between realism. So well, let me conclude this naturalism. Naturalist writers or philosophers, they tried to portray, and they try to establish that this world is the product of a natural laws. these laws of environment and heredity, they are going to shape every circumstances, every phenomena in this world, may it be social phenomena, political, psychological, or economic. These all things basically are outcome of those nature laws. So anything what we want to understand, we have to go to in the natural setting to plumb the depth of those nature laws of heredity and environment, which in fact contribute and shape the reality. So even the man is not exempted to that natural laws. So man cannot be dealt in literature as an individual, but it could be seen as one of the component in this universal setting, governed and shaped by these universal laws, controlled and affected by these natural laws of heredity and environment, and then ultimately we have to see that how things are moving forward. So thank you very much for this wonderful sessions on naturalism. In our next class, this is we will talk about existentialism, that would move one step forward to this theory, and hope you would enjoy that session as well. So till the COVID is over and we are allowed to meet in the class, you are advised, suggested, take your study seriously, keep working at your home. These videos, lectures, as well as the material I'm sending you, this would help you in your classes at your studies. So happy learning, stay safe, stay blessed. Thank you very much.